I think we'll be live in about 30 seconds. All right. A very good morning, a very good afternoon to everybody. Pardon me. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 16th edition of the India Digital Summit, Supercharging Startups, organized by the Internet and Mobile Association of India. The summit is supported by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, and Niti Aayog. I am your host for the session, Yash from IMAI, and welcome to the panel. Welcome to our trialogue, accelerating digitization of MSMEs with a powerful trio of digital payments, connected banking, and cloud-based SaaS. We would like to thank our digital financial management partner, Easebuzz, conversational messaging partner, Gupshup, session partners, GoQuick, gold partners, Manorama Online, Blink Digital, and Yellow.ai, and silver partner, ShareChat. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our moderator, Mr. Siddharth Dani, CFO, Easebuzz. I would also like you to welcome Mr. Gaurav Goel, National Head in Startup and New Economy Business, Yes Bank, and Mr. Sandeep Lakshman, Head FinTech BD, Amazon, Amazon Web Services. So over to you, Mr. Dani.
Sure. Thank you, Yash. Thank you for the introduction. And a very good afternoon to all the listeners. It's really quite an honor to have my esteemed guests out here, both Gaurav and Sandeep. So just to set the context, what we have actually been seeing in India is that on one side we have this entire Indian population that is quickly adapting to digital payments. And of course, the drivers have been quite a few. Uh, Specifically, if you have to get into some of the data points, we have been seeing that overall in India, the access to the internet has been roughly around 700 million users. And this has been growing by almost about 8%. And we should probably see this number touching almost about a billion users by 2025. In terms of smartphone users, we have so far about 550 million users, but there has been a significant growth here as well. We've been growing almost 10% year on year. So number of smartphone users by 2025 again should be quite a large number. In terms of online transacting users, we have almost about 300 million transacting users so far, and this surprisingly has been growing a lot faster than the other two data points. We are seeing almost about a 20-25% growth year on year, and we should see almost about 800 million online transacting merchants by 2025. So there's a lot of things happening, a lot of shift happening. What I find really very interesting is that cash-based transactions in India has been coming down quite significantly. So if I recall right, in 2015 we had almost about 98% of the population that was transacting in cash, and this number has come down to almost about 85% in 2020, and this is pre-COVID. So I suppose that this number must have fallen quite drastically ever since. And I think this is what we are seeing on the demand side. And on the supply side, you have this huge base of MSMEs. We have more than 65 million units of MSMEs spread across the country. And the MSME has been contributing to almost about 30% of our GDP. In fact, I think the services side of the industry is contributing a lot more. And therefore, considering that the MSME is actually a very large contributor to employment, we've seen some adequate push even coming from the government side. So I suppose that with the Jan Dhan Yojana schemes, the India Stack that the government has been pushing on, I think there is there is some good amount of push towards digitization by the government as well. In fact, even as far as our budget is concerned, we saw that in FY22 there has been almost a double in terms of the allocation towards the MSME. FY22 there was almost about $2 billion which was allocated towards MSME, which was just about half the previous year. So with this context and with this with these times that we are living in, I think that there's a huge shift taking place all over. And then just getting down to some more specifics, if see this panning out? How do you see this whole evolution happening on the banking industry side, and specifically Yes Bank? What is the role that Yes Bank is playing? It would be very nice to know a little bit more on that.
So thanks for that, and thanks Easebuzz and IMI for arranging such conversations. These days with a lot of technology coming in, so banks are playing sort of a facilitator role between the MSMEs and the fintechs and the technology companies, which are bringing in a lot of tech solutions to further bring efficiency and improve productivity for the SMEs. So what is happening earlier? All these ERP solutions, payroll management, supply chain management solutions were primarily limited to the larger enterprises. Now with the help of fintechs and the SaaS technology companies, which are like more of a cloud native SaaS solutions, these banks are able to tie up with these, partner with these fintechs and the tech companies, and bring these solutions to the smaller enterprises, the SMEs. Now, SMEs are able to enjoy these tech solutions through on a subscription model, and it's not they have to buy a solution for their own consumption. So while banks are facilitating and bringing these tech solutions along with collaborating with the fintechs and all, so with this they are able to digitalize collections and payouts for the SMEs and the merchants. How it is helping them? So as we all know, like SMEs, a lot of credit gap is there. They are not able to get the credit through the structured, or I would say institutional channel. Uh, but and the primary reason why SMEs are not getting that credit would be lack of data, the lack of structured data, lack of their transactional data. Now with the companies partnerships like Easebuzz, wherein we are able to provide those platforms dashboards to SMEs, wherein all these digital footprints, their transactional data is getting captured, and it is getting presented to the banks or the lenders in a more structured manner, and which is helping SMEs to get the credit they require. Again, what is happening? We, along with partnerships with the fintechs like Easebuzz, we're able to help these SMEs, the small merchants, to capture the complete ecosystem also around them. Maybe if there is a SME wherein a retail or some customer is there, with the frictionless checkout at their checkout pages, when we are facilitating that, it helps them to have a better conversion. It's improving their business also, and cost of client acquisition is coming down. So with all these things, ultimately with the collaborations, with the partnerships with the fintechs and SaaS native solutions, ultimately the SMEs are getting benefited. They're getting better credit supply is coming to them. They're able to have reduce the client acquisition cost, and conversions are improving for them. So a lot of good stuff is happening with and banks are through their connected banking platforms, wherein they are acting as a bridge between the technology companies, the fintechs, and the SMEs, are able to facilitate.
Right. Yeah. So Gaurav, yeah, like we were discussing some time back, I think, Yes Bank has been like a very big partner to us, Easebuzz. And just to add to your point on, efficient tools for MSMEs, in fact, Easebuzz has built a few software solutions that specifically cater to solving the entire collections and the payouts problems for businesses. In fact, while we enable digital payments for our merchants, for our customers, I think the biggest value proposition from our side is that we manage the entire collection. So the way like we like to look at it is that like we say here that payments is an event, but collections is a process by itself. So while digital payments is very seamless, probably with a click of a button or two, the entire collections process, which is right from ensuring settlements happening properly, then after that you've got the entire reconciliation that has to be done, and most importantly, having that information at the tip of your fingers, right? That is something which our software solutions provide to our merchants. And so far it has been good because we've seen like a huge traction in terms of our business. We've got almost about more than 60,000 businesses that have been onboarded onto our platform. We have these 65,000 businesses actually have another, cumulatively about 30 million customers of their own. So we have been able to process almost about more than 150 million transactions till date. And this year alone, we should be processing close to $3.5 billion. So there is definitely some good value that our customers are seeing, and I think yes, this is really the way forward. I think MSMEs really need this kind of support in terms of automation, and I suppose this would not have been there if we didn't have the best servers that companies like AWS provide. So let me take this extend this point to Sandeep. Sandeep, how do you see and how does AWS see, how is it approaching the entire MSME opportunity?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, thank you so much, Siddharth, for hosting us today. Thank you, IAMAI, for conducting this event, right? So if you look at, Zinnov did a report on the SMB market recently, and what they found out was there's about 75 million SMBs in India, right? It's a pretty big number. And but here's the big but. Out of that, only 2% use cloud technology today, right? We are really, really, really early in the market. Way early in the market, right now in the SMB market.
This is interesting because AWS also has a very large share in the market, right, compared to the competition.
So by the way, when I mean cloud, I'm talking about any kind of cloud technology, right?
Okay.
Not just
all right.
AWS,
Sure.
right? Only 2% use any kind of cloud technology.
Yeah.
From 75 million. And the thing that surprised me even more is that 20 million of the SMBs are completely offline. They're completely offline, right? Now, let's take these two problems. Now, given one is you have low adoption, the second is you got a huge number of SMBs completely offline, right? So why is this the case, right? Let's try to dig further. Why is this the case? What's the reason for this? So, we actually did a survey. We surveyed about 3,000 SMBs, and we asked them, listen, tell us what are the barriers for entry for you to adopt digital solutions, and could be any, right? Could be cloud, digital payments, etc. So they came up with 4 answers, right? For the top 4, I'll tell you what the top 4 was. The first was accessibility, right? The ability to easily search the right technology for them. There's too much options there. They don't know what's the right technology that they should adopt. That's number 1. Second is affordability. First was not affordability, note that. Second is affordability. And they don't say they want it free. They just say they wanted something affordable, right? There's a lot of misnomer. Like when I speak to a lot of companies, they say, "Oh, SMBs don't pay." That's not true. People have been paying for India Mart for years. The smallest, go to the smallest manufacturing firm, they pay for India Mart, right? It's just that you need to give proper value and you need to price it properly, and that's where the affordability comes in. Right? The third one which comes is simplicity. How easy it's for them to adopt the solution. So once they've found out the right technology solution, do they have to speak to somebody? Can they just download an app and start using it immediately? How seamless is the adoption of your technology for the SMB, right? Because the more layers you have, the more time it's going to take them to adopt. The last is, and I think this is a very Indian thing, is support. About 3/4 of them, so almost 75%. So to be right, it was 74%, said that they wanted support on onboarding and some kind of ongoing customer support, right? Does that mean telephone support? Not necessary, but they want some kind of support. And this is a very Indian thing, right?
It is. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, like, you have a lot of solutions from the US, but they're all like, hey, DIY. In India, we like to put a face.
We need a relationship manager for everything.
Correct. There's some kind of support that is required. And we've seen this, right? So we've seen this in AWS as well, that one of the reasons when we talk to customers why they use AWS, they say is just that support, right? The ability to get in touch with the human. So it's not surprising that SMBs have the same requirements. So what we've seen is these are the top four. Now, as time goes on, we will see fintechs, startups, and especially fintechs address these issues, right? Make it easier to onboard, make it affordable, and make it easily accessible as well. Right? The easier that goes on, the more we'll see the penetration within the SMB market. Right? Our job as AWS is to help. And the second thing is the fintechs that already work with us, help them also, drive adoption among SMBs. Because Amazon actually as a whole has taken a mission to digitize 10 million SMBs by 2025. Right? That's a mission that we've actually stated. We do the Sambhav conference every year, and we actually announced it in Sambhav last year, right? That we have taken it on as a mission to digitize 10 million SMBs. And as a part of that, what we have done is we've actually created a digital suite that is download, adopt through the Amazon.in app itself, right? Because a lot of SMBs do use that because they want to sell through it or buy through it. So they are using an app, and it becomes, the accessibility kind of question over there, right? So that's something that we've been doing. But just coming back also, is really, right? So as Gaurav said, there's no data today which is available. And that is, and that's where I think fintechs have a big advantage. Because what like for Easebuzz, like, why do you want to help SMBs adopt your product, right? Your just to go back to you, like, why do you want
in fact, this has been a very interesting data point, Sandeep. In fact, I was just going to get to that. Accessibility, affordability, simplicity, support. In fact, when we started really thinking about what are the kind of products that we need to build, we realized this very same thing, that I think majority of the MSMEs that are out there in the country do not have that technical know-how in terms of assessing what are the different technologies that are available, how is it beneficial to them, and what is it that is most suited, or how should they go about selecting the different technologies, right? So what we have built in terms of our software solutions are the easy plug and play API based software solutions, where we have gone and tried to understand the problems of the MSME, and we've built these different solutions that are applicable for different use cases, different industries. It could be, to give you an example, it could be a recurring payment, collection kind of a business. It could be a subscription-based business. You've got these different business models, different revenue models. And so Our software solutions are addressing their pain point, and they are very easy to use and easy to start using, right? So the point on accessibility and simplicity has been taken care of by our solutions. The next is, of course, support. And of course, we try our hard to provide as much support. And you're absolutely right. We have experienced the same thing that, we've been doing this. We keep doing this survey with our customers, and we found that, we were trying to, just to give you an example, we were trying to and just ask simply, is everything all right? And they're very happy with that. So we try to do our bit in terms of providing the support. Um, Having said that, I think the fourth point on the affordability is what I would like to really get down to next. And if you have to get down to specifically the payment mode, we've seen that UPI has been a big success in India. And I think about 2 years back, we had about just about 15% of our transactions being processed through UPI. But today we've got almost 75%, 80% of our transactions that are all UPI processed. With this whole push, towards UPI, there's also been a huge debate over the last 2 years about MDR, whether it should be zero, whether there should be priced for it. I was just speaking with Gaurav some time back, and I think, banks are the ones who've been really at the receiving end. So Gaurav, over to you. How do you see this whole MDR thing panning out? Do you see that there could be a cost that will be added going forward?
Yes, it has. So again, UPI one, it has completely revolutionized the collections and the small payments. And when we have simplified, as you guys, Sandeep and Siddharth, you both of you have touched upon simplifying the collections. What it has done? It has helped the SMEs in reducing the cost of collection. And when the cost of collection has also come down, along with that, there is a certain type of visibility in their collection flows, which is helping them in managing their working capital better. And it's more about cash flow based lending is coming to their way. So in nutshell, UPI has definitely helped a lot of small businesses in managing their businesses, their collections in a very nice way. Now, coming to the MDR piece, this is again a very, very sensitive piece, and MDR is something which banks, which the fintechs earn from the whatever facilities they provide to the small merchants. And government in January 2020 took a call that there would not be any MDR which could be charged on the RuPay-based RuPay card transactions and UPI transactions. Well, there is a cost for maintaining and creating an infrastructure. And generally, if you stifle the revenue streams, that investment which is going into creating that infrastructure, which has to be more and more scalable, moving your tech infrastructure from more monolithic to a module-based structure, like Sandeep highlighted, cloud-based structures. You need a lot of investments. Somehow, that's where banks or the fintechs are facing a challenge, that how to bring that investment if those investments are not generating any revenues. But having said that, I would appreciate recent decision which has been done, wherein government has come forward and acknowledged the work done by the banks, financial institutions, and fintechs, and have agreed to absorb or compensate for RuPay transactions and small ticket transactions, less than 2,000 transactions in UPI. Whatever MDR would be there, the cost would be there, they would be compensated to the extent of, say, 1,300 crores for the next coming financial year. That's a good move, but again, I would say this is an investment which government is bringing into the financial infrastructure, and it will definitely help the financial infrastructure to scale up. bring more digital solutions to
Sure.
whole ecosystem, I would say.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting, Gaurav. I liked your point about moving away from the cost to the value side. In fact, even after speaking to some of our customers who've been using our solutions for a while, we found that our customers are happy because one is that we really bring down the entire collection cycle. So one specific merchant I recall was telling me that earlier it used to take him about 15 to 20 days to complete his settlement. So there used to be payments that used to come from through digital modes and through non-digital, which is cash and check. But settlement of the non-digital especially takes time, right? You have to go to the bank and then actually deposit the checks and all of that. So that used to take 20 days. Today, through the Easebuzz solution, we've actually brought down the entire settlements to just about 2 days. Having said that, there is no additional cost in ERP that the customer or the merchant has to invest in. And also the resources that are required to manage this entire collection, settlement, reconciliation is all automated by our solution. So even if let's assume that there is an MDR that is charged tomorrow, I think the value is more in terms of the improvement in the working cycle that the merchant can experience. So yes, that's been our experience. Sandeep, how is AWS looking from the cost perspective, affordability, like you rightly pointed out? If you can get some views on that.
Yeah. So, you know, if you look at cloud, right? Cloud actually makes things a lot more affordable. So the reason is because let's say you're setting up a new project and you don't want to use cloud, you want to buy servers. Then what you have to do is you have to predict what your highest peak is going to be for the following year, buy excess server, 20% excess, and keep that. Now what that means is you got a huge upfront investment that you end up doing, right?
Yeah.
Now and most of the time it's not going to be used. Maybe it's going to be used during festivals like Diwali, etc. Right? And this is a legitimate things that you do see in traditional enterprises, right? Who still buy servers. In cloud, because of the elasticity of the cloud. So for example, in AWS, what you could do is you could put in a code saying that, hey, if my CPU usage goes above a certain level, add more servers, and if it reduces below a certain level, remove servers, right? Remove instances and put a load balancer and auto scale it, divert traffic. It can all be automated.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, you use as much compute capacity that you need, right? And as a result of that, your overall cost is actually lesser. You're only paying as much as you are using. Right. And we have seen this with Easebuzz, right? So we work with you guys.
Yes.
This exercise with you guys. So it's something that we have seen, right? So you can reduce the overall cost simply if you are able to keep it elastic in nature, right? Especially in cases of workloads which are very spiky,
Right.
You could do that. So as a result, cloud by itself, it's kind of reduces that cost, right? The other thing which also we help is for our customers, we actually help do cost optimization reviews. So for example, it's just not our cost, right? It's not just what AWS is costing. It's also what fintechs, because a lot of products, if you see, is products like yours, Siddharth, right? Like Easebuzz, that's going to the market. Now that happens to run on AWS, right? Now, if AWS is going to be expensive, it means your end solution to your customers, which is SMB merchants, is going to be expensive, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So what we need to do is we want to make sure that your cost is less so that the end merchant's cost is less. How do we do? We have a ton of things. One is the elasticity, as I mentioned. We have stuff like reserved instances and savings plans, which actually gives you a discount if you end up reserving stuff with us, right? Or if you say committing a certain amount of spend with us. So we do have these other tools. There's another third thing, right? Let's say tomorrow you want to let's say tomorrow you want to let me give you an example. So or insurance, right, from from the financial services entities in India,
Sure.
right? And as a part of that, you need to collect KYC data, right? There are
Right.
two things you can do. One is you can have a huge set of people doing the KYC. The other alternative is to automate it, in which case you have to create your own models and run expensive GPU or run it on expensive GPUs, which is again going to increase the cost. The third alternative is you can use some services like AI services that we have, like recognition, for example, which can actually do facial recognition, right? And you can use TextTrack, which can extract text from your documents, including ID cards, right? And what happens with that is because you do all that, you're essentially reducing your cost because you're using only the API that we are actually sending. So these are different methods where actually we help different customers reduce, and not just the end SMBs, like I said, but also fintechs like yours.
Sure. That's very interesting, Sandeep. So you spend effectively, you're saying we spend as much as the data that you consume, and as MSMEs scale, so does AWS, right? Just to take this point a bit further, Sandeep, there's a lot of today we have a lot of buzzwords around analytics, AI, ML. Any thoughts from AWS in terms of how this can potentially benefit MSMEs going forward?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what Gaurav also talked about, right? Like if you look at why MSMEs don't have access to credit, it's because there's lack of data. And that's where fintechs like you come in. So when I see payments as an atomic transaction, right? So it's a building block and it's the smallest transaction you can do in financial services. Whether you want to buy a stock, you want to buy insurance, or you want to get a loan, the minimum transaction that is required is a payment, right? It's an atomic transaction.
Right.
Now, the advantage you have, like somebody like you, is you could actually run analytics or AI on the transactions that an SMB is doing, and then leverage that to come up with your own credit score, right? That for an SMB that might alternatively not get credit, right? That intelligence doesn't exist today, right? Especially for the SMB market, that kind of intelligence does not exist, and that's where fintechs come in, right? Because I would see in the future you all using your intelligence to make better decisions and give a wider section of the SMB market availability to line of credit.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, that's what we also intend to do. That we've got so much of data around the transactions that have happened on our platform over the past 2-3 years that there is a lot that we can do in terms of evaluating the credit score of merchants and become an alternative to being their lending partners apart from banks. Great. I think there's a question from the listeners. Maybe we can take up one or two. There's one question. Unfortunately, I don't have the name of who's posted this, but the question is, do you see decentralized technologies and Web 3.0 being beneficial to MSMEs?
I think the beneficial is that will be adopted, right? Sorry, Gaurav, do you want to go first?
So why it's again a very nascent stage, but obviously decentralized, it will again help in providing better accessibility to the small businesses and reducing the cost again. So it will bring a lot of transparency, and when the and transactional cost would come down again. So a lot of benefits I would see while it's very initial stage. Blockchain based products are coming in the market, decentralized finance is coming in the market, and it would be helping the small businesses anyway. It would sort of reducing that opaqueness in the system, and I personally feel it will be, and it's a way going forward.
Yeah, I think DeFi can have a lot of impact. Of course, I think it's still a little early because you could essentially take an invoice that an SMB raises and then convert it into an NFT and then put it into a blockchain where lending can happen, right? But there are gaps in the plumbing between the different blockchains that don't exist today. They are absent, right? So it is still a little far away. The end of the day, the SMB is not going to care whether it's blockchain or not, right? Decentralized or not.
Right.
I think the key to adoption is again going to go back to those 4 points which we talked about. It's go back to that. So the key thing is going to be how quickly they'll adopt than whether it'll be useful. I think it is going to definitely be useful. The question is how quickly can they adopt it?
Sure. Just to move on, in terms of emerging technologies or emerging areas within fintechs, Gaurav, any views in terms of what we could possibly see going forward over and above what we already have today? So there's digital lending, insurtech, digital payments. We've got neobanks, open banking. Anything new that could possibly come out from Yes Bank going forward?
See, for the small businesses, SMBs, it's all about these things adoption. Like Sandeep is also highlighting how quickly they adopt it. More. We can completely automate their supply chain itself, plugging in the invoice discounting, receivable discounting. It's more about how these small businesses quickly adopt these technologies, and with that adoption, various other products apart from this vanilla traditional products like revenue-based financing could be brought in. Invoice discounting platforms, while again, like Sandeep is highlighting, wherein invoice could be converted and we can help in getting them discounted on the blockchain through blockchain platform. Similarly, yes, these type of new products could be brought in only. I would say the quicker adoption, and definitely with the fintechs like Easebuzz and the other fintechs, that adoption is coming up fast.
Sure. Sandeep, AWS has been at the forefront of innovation. Any interesting offerings in the pipeline that we could possibly see?
We have I think close to 200 services now, from compute to database to AI. There's a lot of stuff that we've recently launched in AI, right? That actually would be useful for fintechs, especially for fintechs operating in the MSME space, right? So, for example, when it comes to OCR, you want to actually do document OCR, and this is very important, especially when you want to automate the pipeline for invoice financing, right? We have a service called Textract, right? And in fact, recently, Perfio has moved their entire service, their OCR service, to Textract, leveraging Textract to do that, right? That's, I think, something which is very useful in that space for specifically for giving a credit line, right? Invoice-based financing. In addition, we keep launching new services all the time. So we have an annual conference called reInvent, where we announce it. We also do a lot on security. I think one thing we didn't touch upon too much was security, but we do a lot on security. We got a ton of services there. In fact, last year, what we did is we actually did with all our biggest fintech customers, we actually did a whole security review where we sat with them and walk through them on the best practices for security. And in order to expand it to everyone else, we actually doing all these webinars. So you should keep your eye out. You will see all these information on webinars on security.
Sure. No, that's very interesting. In fact, I think that it's not only about us individually going out and providing our services, but I think the way we see it is that our partnerships with banks, with AWS, with other partners, I think together we can provide some significant value to all the MSMEs. In fact, we have internally we've been working on a package which we will be announcing very soon in terms of in terms of a value that startups can probably enjoy. And I think it will happen only if this partnership continues as we go forward. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but it's been lovely speaking with Sandeep and Gaurav, both of you. Yeah, I think if there is anybody from the listeners, if you all would like to reach out to us, we are accessible on LinkedIn, or you may reach out to us through through the organizers. Sorry. Yes, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Dani. So I would like to conclude by thanking all our speakers once again. It was a very engaging session. I think we all learned a lot. I'd also like to thank our sponsors and attendees for making this possible. And with that, I would like to close the session. Thanks once again, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.